From autumn 2001, that's Macy Gray on Freedom FM. And before Sweet Baby, you were listening to Greg, who has just told me that he'll do his best to be back on your radio next Monday at about 8 p.m. So, here we are, you and I on the night cruise. 2 hours of the best romance, relaxing and chilled tunes on your radio from now until 1 tomorrow morning. My name is Feargal, and as well as the music, I have lots of other things planned for you this evening. After midnight, well, I'll give you the opportunity to get involved in our triple threat game. And if you are a night cruise regular, you know that normally between now and midnight, we do our Tuesday shifting bit. You know, give a shout out to everyone who's working the night shift on a Tuesday evening. But tonight, we're going to do something a little different. You see, this is the last hour of our nationwide FM run for 2024, and so over the next hour I'm going to try to give you, our FM listeners, a shout out on the radio before the station returns to its normal online digital self. So if you've been in touch with us over the last few weeks, listen up, because I'll be going through our WhatsApp, texts and emails, and I might read out yours. And of course, if you want to get in touch this hour, it's 086 206 8888, and if you minded to use WhatsApp, then why not think about using the voice note feature, because we do love hearing from you. You don't want WhatsApp? Then you can email me, hello@freedomfm.ie, or find Voice Active Ferg, spelled as it sounds, on Threads, Insta and Blue Sky. And if you are an FM listener, remember to download the Freedom FM app, because when you do, you can pause and rewind live radio. You can listen back to all your favourite Freedom FM shows anytime you want, and you can listen to us all year round. From January 2001, the month when Faith Hill won big at the American Music Awards, Donnie Darko and Lizzie McGuire were both released, and O-Town got into the charts with Love Should Be a Crime. This is the Night Cruise from Freedom FM, and if you've tuned in for our Tuesday shifting bit, it's not happening tonight, because as this is the last hour of Freedom on FM for this year, we're going to try and say hello to as many of you who reached out to us as possible over the last 4 weeks. And let's start with a big hello to Darren Gillen in Dublin too. Keith, just Keith, no second name in Cork. Then there's Michael, who got in touch from Dublin, as did Emer. And another Dublin shout out goes to Sandra Goff in Lucan. And then there's Liam, who didn't tell me where he is. Now, if you're listening to us for the final time on FM, remember you can keep Freedom FM in your ears by simply telling your smart speaker to play Freedom FM from Dublin, or by downloading our app from the Play or App Store. Simply search Freedom FM and install the app, and take us in your car or your headphones anytime you want.
And I'm just standing.
From the album of the same name, let's train Drops of Jupiter on the Night Cruise from Freedom FM, where we would normally be in the middle of our last Tuesday shifting bit, which will be back next week. But as this week is our last hour on FM, I'm running through as many of the messages you sent into us on WhatsApp to 086 206 8888 over the last 4 weeks. So, without wasting any more time, I want to say hello to Sandra Newman, who reached out from Dublin 17. Teresa from Carlow, you know, it was her birthday the other day. Dave, who got in touch from Cork. Thomas, who's down in the southeast this evening. Karen, who got in touch from Wexford. Julie, who reached out to me from Pierce Street. Our friends Patrick and Carl, and finally for now, my namesake, Feargal in Rathfarnham. And if you are listening to us on FM at the moment, well, it's time you went digital and heard us in wonderful high-def stereo. So if you haven't yet, go to your smart speaker and tell it to play Freedom FM. And if you haven't yet downloaded our app, go to the App or Play Store and download the Freedom FM app, which allows you to listen and pause live radio, listen back to podcasts of your favourite Freedom FM shows, and keeps us together until the next FM run.
Trouble.
It's Freedom FM and The Night Cruise, the best in romance, relaxing and chilled songs on your radio every evening between 11 and 1. And, you know, it's almost midnight, so before we cross over to Wednesday and start our triple threat game, I need to do one last round of FM-only shoutouts. You see, we'll be turning off our FM transmitters at midnight, but we'll still be here and you'll be able to listen to us 24/7. But before I tell you how you can do that, let's get to this final round of FM name checks out of the way, shall we? Starting with Paul, who's over in Tala this evening. Leah, who got in touch from Galway. The Physics Gang in New Ross. Verna and Oliver, both in Galway. And let me say Dobre Dien to Pirate Jim, who's in Slovakia. And finally for now, Joanne Flynn and Emma Lambert, who didn't tell me where they are. Right, if you enjoyed listening to Freedom FM on FM, it's time you moved over to digital. Go to your app or Play Store and download the Freedom FM app so you can take us in your car, in your headphones. In fact, you can take us anywhere. And also, tell your smart speaker to play Freedom FM from Dublin. And if you want, you can stream us live 24/7 on www.freedomfm.ie. Right, that's about it. And remember, if you want in on our triple threat game, then join me on digital only after midnight. Don't stick around for the FM shutdown. You might just like it.
I step off the
It's Freedom FM, and my friends, this is the end of our FM run across the country for 2024. So, from this year's presenters, Alan, Mike, Nikki B, Sabrina, Oshin, Stephen, Paul K, Darren, Sean P, Louise, Nikki M, Aidan, Enda, Greg J, Glenda, Jen, Greg F, Phil, Sorsha, Emma, Eamon, Neil, Wayne, Ralph, Lucy, Paul G, Louisa, Ryan, Louise, Vinny, Al, Paul C, Sean M, and me, Fergs. We want to thank you for lending us your ears for the last 4 weeks. You and your messages made this year's FM run a great success. Now, the good news is we aren't going anywhere because we'll still be here for you 24/7. Simply tell your smart speaker, play Freedom FM. And to take us on the go in your headphones and car, download our app from the App or Play Store. Simply search Freedom FM. Or go to our website, www.freedomfm.ie, anytime to listen back to Freedom FM. Right, now that you've got us in super high def digital on your devices, it's time for us to turn off our nationwide FM transmission network for another 11 months. And we're going to do that in 3, 2, 1. Written by Dido, sung by Britney, and from January 2002. That's I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman on Freedom FM's Night Cruise, where we have returned to digital only. We're off the FM, but you can still hear us on your smart speaker, on your devices, in your car, on your Android playout system, just about anywhere, really. Anyway, it's just gone 5 past midnight on Wednesday, the 30th of October. One day to Halloween. Are you ready for it? I know that I am. Anyway, thank you for joining me. My name is Feargal, and between now and 1, I'm going to play you the best 90s and noughties romance, relaxing and chilled songs. And because it's Wednesday morning, that also means that between the songs we get to play our triple threat game. Now, if you haven't played this game before, grab a seat and let me tell you how you can get involved. You see, just before the show started, I went into our production studio where I found 3 famous 90s songs, maybe naughty songs as well, I don't know. Put them all together on the record player. I sped one up, slowed one down, and left one as it was. And I put them into one short snippet that I'm going to play for you in a moment. And all you got to do to be in with the shot of winning yourself a name check, yeah, can you believe it? A whole name check on the radio is tell me what songs it is that I have mixed up. Right, with that as clear as muck, let's have a listen to this week's triple threat, shall we? Right, so if you know what 3 songs they are and would like to be in with the shot of that name check on the radio in a bit, then all you got to do is shoot me over your answer on text or WhatsApp to 086 206 8888, and again, tell me what 3 songs these are. Oh, 086 206 8888 if you know what 3 songs they are. And if I get any wrong answers, I'll tell you some of those right after we lend our ears to Ronan. This is Freedom FM's Night Cruise, the best of 90s and noughties, romance, relaxing and chill songs anywhere on your radio. And we're currently in the middle of playing this week's triple threat game. And this morning I asked you to tell me what 3 songs these are. Now, so many of you have been in touch with your guesses. Unfortunately, however, some of you have sent in some very wrong answers, including By Your Side by Sade, Underneath Your Clothes, Shakira, and Alicia Keys and Falling. Come on, guys, I know you can do better than that. Anyway, with those wrong guesses cleared up, let's have another listen to this week's Triple Threat, shall we? Now, if you know who they are and fancy possibly getting a name check on the radio in a bit, then get in touch on text or WhatsApp 086 206 8888. But you gotta be quick because the answer is on the way very soon. Summer 1990, and you remember what was going on then, don't you? Imelda Marcos, remember her? The one with all the shoes in the Philippines? Well, she was on trial for racketeering, whatever that is. The actress Zaza Gabor, darling, went to jail for 3 days in Hollywood for slapping a police officer. We were all glued to our TV sets watching Italia 90, and the Flowers released movies off their home album. This is Freedom FM's Night Cruise, and if you're waiting for the answers to this week's Triple Threat game, I will get there right after we head into space with Aerosmith. Good morning. I hope you're well this morning, and thank you for joining us on Freedom FM's Night Cruise, where this morning you've been sending me in your guesses for this week's Triple Threat game. And the task that I set you was to tell me what 3 90s or naughty songs I've mushed up into this little snippet. Now, as I said earlier, loads of you sent in correct answers, but as the computer only gives me 4 names to read out at any one time, I can only say hello, good morning, and well done to Gabby O'Sullivan, who got in touch from Ballyfermot, Pierce Muller, who sent his answer in from Coolock, Isabel Beard, who's over in Ferndale this morning, and Noel Walsh, who got in touch from Lucan, who all correctly said that this week's Triple Threat are... Wait a moment, can you do me a solid? If you enjoyed playing along with this week's Triple Threat, then tell a friend and come back next Wednesday just after midnight when we'll do it all over again. As for this week, in reverse order, the Triple Threat are Can't Help Falling in Love with You, UB40, Set Adrift on Memory Bliss, PM Dawn, and Madonna's Justify My Love. That's the last of this week's Triple Threat. That's UB40 and Can't Help Falling in Love with You. And that song tells me that is all the mess I can make of your radio for this week. Thank you for your company, both you and your messages made my shows as always. Now, Nikki B, well, she's going to do the next night cruise at 11 p.m. tonight. Aidan, he'll have breakfast at 8. Alan, he's going to do the Freedom News at 7. And up next, Darren takes over with Essential Beats live from his New York studio. As for me, well, I'll be back on Monday morning at midnight with another night cruise. Until then, thank you for your time this time. So until next time, my friends, take care of yourselves and each other.